And next up, the winner of the shopping category, please welcome Cockeye Studios.
Today I'm presenting a project that has been selected for the shopping category. In the reality, it's a little bit more complex than that because it's a project of urban requalification. The project is located in Shanghai in probably the most valuable area of the city, left. And the challenge of this project was the one to try to challenge a system of development in the city, as well to an operation of resewing the wounds that the city had been going through in the past decades. Shanghai is a city where I've seen a lot of very fast transformations, sometimes extremely cruel and serious, in a way that the history has been wiped out, and the block of the cities and the communities have been taken away from their roots, and the city went through an incredible system of tragic transformations, leaving a lot of deep wounds in the city. So what we tried to do here was the one to try to resume the community to the city itself by challenging a system in which a plot of land like this that has an incredible value for a speculation of development from both, unfortunately, from the government and from the developers. China is a system extremely speculative. We tried to convince them instead to have a completely different strategy of development. So during the competition for this project, we were able to convince government and clientele to consider a completely different approach to the city. It is the one to create a system of layers that reconnect the city to the land and to the waterfront of the Suzhou Creek. So instead to develop a typical shopping mall, as the client used to do, we transformed the system of retail underground, creating a urban valley. And the reason why we want to create a urban valley is because we want to create a system that is a sustainable system in terms of carbon-free strategy of development, and also to create an efficiency on the commercial space completely different from the traditional one. Usually, a shopping mall is one of the most inefficient thermal machines of the world. Okay? You reach barely an efficiency of 65%, in which 35–40% of the spaces are heated up or cooled down in a very inefficient way. We transform instead this site in an open city, completely permeable to the city, with a valley in which we can control the temperature to have a drop of 5 degrees or an increase of 5 degrees according to the seasons, using the trees and the nature that we plant above. At the same time, all the spaces, the public spaces, are open public spaces. They are not conditioned. So in terms of efficiency, in terms of thermal efficiency and sustainability, reach an incredible level of efficiency. For us, it was very, very important. Besides, we are not using an incredible quantity of concrete. You know, China in the past 10 years used more than 100 times the entire concrete used by the United States in the past century. So we are trying to reduce this strategy of approach of massing in the site. So, okay, let's see how we create that. We are working in Shanghai environment on the city texture since 20 years, trying to preserve the historical heritage of the city. So for us, you see the location, it's the last open space left in the very strong CBD of the center of Shanghai. The value of this land is unbelievable. So to convince the clientele and the city itself, because the government makes a lot of money on taxes on the retail point of view or on the tenant's point of view, to reduce their targets in order to try to give a benefit to the society, to give a place where the people can recognize themselves and can meet, and they can enjoy a green park. That is a very simple thing for us. I come from Italy, from Venice, so for us, nature and parks in the cities are normal practice. In Shanghai, it's absolutely not. There are no parks, no green areas in the center of the city. And as well, you see how this new road that go from north to south cut in a very, very strong way the west and the east side of the park And as well, the very strong development of high-rise building around, okay, create constraints to the community around. So how we did this? 1 second, okay. So as I said, we create a valley within 3 different mainstream points of attraction on the site. You see on the left side, we have a system of traditional Lilong, Shanghainese Lilong houses that are being preserved on site. We have an old temple that in the typical, we find it on site, is a typical practice of Shanghai how to deal with their history. This temple was not here. They moved it from 5 kilometers far from here just to wipe out the sense of guilt that they have in destroying the heritage of the city. But of course, I mean, for us, I come from Venice, so it's a super protected city. For us, this is a crime to eradicate from their roots a building where it belongs. But for Shanghai, it's a normal practice, and we need to try to deal with it because the way to preserve the heritage is not only through the roots of the building itself, but it's also through the transmission of the memory. And this is, for me, very important. I have a relationship with the history. I come from Venice, one of the ancient cities in the world. It is extremely important here in Shanghai, the history relationship being wiped out completely. So for me, it's very important to try to re-give this point of memories to the people. As you see as well, we insert in the project some very weird piece of public art. Because one of the reasons, a park itself, the real role of this project is to want to try to bring joy to the people. And it's something that is missing in a concrete jungle like Shanghai is. So, and the people like this very, very much. So we create this valley, as you see, from between the 2 blocks, creating this system of holes. We create a system of gates to go to the different layers, okay, because the site is completely permeable on the ground floor. There is a system of entrances that are related to the different points of attraction, one in a new building that is next to the high-rise tower that Norman Foster designed, one next to the Lilongs and one next to the temple. In a way that then another layer of connection has been created. As all the projects of architecture, mostly when you work with a city level, the projects are never perfect. Originally, we were thinking to connect even more, east and west. Okay, it's been a very strong challenge to convince the government and the Traffic Bureau of Shanghai to let us build a bridge on the top of a public road. Okay, but at least we were able to connect and to give a different opportunity to connect the 2 sites to the people. And as well, the system in which these holes and these paths in an organic way are designed, they give a freedom to the people to walk through this space in a very spontaneous way. It's incredible because for us to see our projects, we hide in our project, we finish, and we observe how the people use it, because it's impossible for an architect to control completely a project. You need to have a very strong modesty, because the systems are very complex, even more what you work on a city level, on a social point of view like this. And it's incredible to discover how the people keep on going around the loops, always choosing a different path, and they're never tired to go around. And it's incredible. And the success of this place, it's also focused on the usage and in retail point of view. Let's not forget it's a commercial project. We were very proud about the fact that this project did not attract any of those top luxury brands in the world. The copy and pasted project around the world that seems to be everywhere is not a billboard building, as we call the shopping malls, but instead it's a completely permeable system of functions that are used by the neighbors. So this place became a system of F&B and entertainment and services for the neighborhood. So it really achieved at the end the target to become a part of the city, integrated and free flow. This is what was important for us. We try then, of course, to connect the little indoor spaces that have been created under the historical buildings with a connection through it, also visual connection, okay, in order to try to create some system of curiosity of seeing through layers and to try to reconnect them in a contemporary way, even if some of the interiors, as you will see, they look very traditional, okay, but they are contemporary interpretation of what stayed above them. We have a hall on the top of the temple and another one on top of the main road that stay between the traditional lanes in a way that each area is characterized. I just show you. You should start a video of it, but okay. And the project just speaks by itself. It's a dynamic project, so to show by images, sometimes it doesn't really explain how it doesn't work. Today, the landscape, this video has been taken after 3 months of opening. The landscape was not mature yet. Today, after 1 year it's open, the landscape started to change and have been studied very carefully in order to change with the seasons and to provide perfect thermal insulations for the space underground. Of course, the fingerprint that we use on the landscape is very strong and being done in an intentional way in order to leave a mark. We need to dare sometime. But it's very interesting that only 2 levels underground create a visual connection and an empathy between the different layers that are very efficient. So we're going to be finishing 20 seconds.
I think since the movie has interfered with the question time, I have to be quick with this. I think one appreciates the notion of the hybrid between the park and the shopping centre and so on. And but I come in with natural suspicion because I see that it's really a very big scheme, and you home in on the, to me, very attractive, sexy bits of intersection. I wonder to what extent they're generic, and to what extent they are sort of introduced specials. Because when one's, in fact, the movie is more revealing than your slides. You see that there's, in fact, a lot of stuff down there that is actually very, very straight up and down. And then you suddenly have these, as I say, sexy bits. And I wonder to what extent they're integrated, or you say, okay, now we're having an armature, then we go back to the normal stuff. Because the interior spaces don't necessarily seem to gain as much from those delvings as one would have expected.
Actually, the interior spaces was extremely limited. They are just less than 20% of the entire site, because under the original buildings that we see on the temple here and the Lilong houses was requested by the government, okay, to enclose the spaces. So there is a very strong contrast, as in a city, somehow also underground, between what is the normal organic path of the people, of the outdoor spaces, and what is the building that on the top reflect a building underground as well. So it's a kind of contrast of languages as well.
So thank you for your presentation. I think it's a very interesting scheme on this hybridization between landscape and, and commercial use. I would like to ask about the nightlife. no? Because commercial activity many times is connected with night, but then parks at some point, especially in China and other countries, during night they don't have life, no? So what is the compatibility of these two situations, especially at nighttime?
It's incredible. We have a video, it's 4 minutes long, we cannot use it for time. But in the nighttime, this place transforms itself in an incredible way because the lights that come from the bottom part regenerate and give a new life to the space that transforms itself in a very, very incredible way. It's super busy during the day, but it's super busy during the night. But because also the functions are not traditional retail spaces. It's really like a part of the city. It's F&B and entertainment and services. So the people use it all over the day and the night. It's open flow. It never closes. So it's really like a part of the city. And what is interesting is the usage. You know, usually parks in very busy city like Shanghai are used by elder people during the week and by families during the weekends. This place instead has a system of layering of functions as well, in which make it busy, super busy, 7 days a week, night and day. Because we have a very high-rise office towers, we have a system of residents around it that use the space continually for services. It's really like a part of the center part of a city that is alive continually. During the weekend, people come here to camping on the fields. We have an area that is for camping. It's very, very popular in China. And in the night, we have incredible events. Even now, even those brands that we were trying to keep out in order to try to create this empathic feeling between citizens and the site, they're coming to make their events on the square in front of the temple because the spot that this area has and the view from the bridge that is an elevated view on the Suzhou River create an incredible opportunity of marketing for them. And so even if we were trying to keep them out, now they're coming in.
Thank you.
Well, congratulations. I think projects of this scale and in Asia, we're very familiar ourselves with the pressures that you have to deliver. So I think as a sort of agent of more green space and advocate for public space, I think you've achieved an amazing amount. I was a little curious, did you achieve the floor space potential of the site? Because I know the pressure for that in Shanghai. Or did you convince the client to sort of underdevelop in terms of the maximum potential?
It's 30 years that I'm in architecture, and I learned a long time ago that you need to target 120% to get 90, and the projects are never perfect, and even more when you work at this kind of scale, and when the players are so many different. We are not working for a private client, we are working for a corporate and a government, and both of them, they are very, very so-so. No, we could achieve much more, for sure. But I'm very proud already of what I can achieve.
Yeah. No, I think knowing the complexity and the number of players involved and the difficulty of these huge cities, I think you've done something really amazing. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for a lovely presentation. As an engineer, I think I'd like to come back to the issue of sustainability. And I think this typology of a shopping center, as you said, is one of the most difficult to create a sustainable development. Also, we try and avoid basements because, again, they're not very green.
And they cost a lot.
Yes, but I think what you've achieved here, you should be congratulated for, mainly because the social sustainability you've dealt with is pretty high, because it's not just about the amount of carbon that's being used, it's the functionality and the fact that people are going to use the space. There's no point doing the most sustainable building and nobody wants to use it. So, so from an engineering point of view, I think it's a great achievement. Architecturally, I like the idea of how you bring in light into the, you created a number of places where you can bring light down to the second floor of the basement, and also the fact that you have something interesting being overlooked by all the towers. So everybody knows it's there without it being told.
Yeah.
You know, it's almost a reverse. So again, I think that's the correct. One of the questions I was going to ask, and you answered it literally in your last response, was how do you relate your development to the river? Well, by creating the elevated walkway.
There is still a small area, as you can
Yes.
see here, the big green area, that have been planted recently and become the camping area. So it was not completed yet.
No, thank you.